Hi everybody, it's Chris, and I'm going to show you how I do a chakra pour today. I've already got most of my paint cups prepared. I'm doing a flip cup, and in total I'll have 5 cups poured of paint. Didn't want to bore you with you watching me pour paint, so I've poured 4 of them, and then I just have the final cup to pour, and I thought I would show you how I do that. I keep all of my paints pre-mixed in the condiment bottles, and I find that it makes it really easy for me to be able to paint whenever I have time. So I have these all pre-mixed with my pouring medium and the paint. I'm using Azo Orange and Medium Yellow today. I've put my cups in 7-ounce cups, and I'm going to start with the Azo Orange and put a good amount in there, and then I'll continue with the Medium Yellow. These 2 colors are the only 2 that are combined. The others are just different shades of red, green, blue, and purple. And then the black that I'm using is metallic black. It's Artist Loft Paints from Michaels, and that's mixed with my pouring medium. So I am just going to layer my paints into the cup. I'm not being very particular about it. Just want to make sure that I have a good amount of orange in there because the yellow seems to kind of take over. And I have about 4 to 5 layers of paint in each cup, and they're probably filled to, I would say, probably about a 6-ounce mark in my cups, and just continuing up until I get the right amount of paint in. My pouring medium is 4 cups of Floetrol that I have strained, a cup of Glue All, and then a half a cup of Liquitex pouring medium. And then I add in a 1/4 cup of water, and I try to keep that pre-mixed so that it's ready to go for me at all times. And then I'm just going to do 1 more layer here. I know by experience that the orange the yellow kind of tends to take over, so I do just a little bit more orange in that one to make sure that I have enough. And I'm pouring on a 12 by 24 canvas today, and I'm just going to set this guy to the side so that I don't spill it. And then I'll set my canvas down so you can see that. It's a 12 by 24 canvas. It's the gallery wrap style so that it has the wider edge on it. I just have push pins on each 4 corners of the canvas. And I'm trying to keep this so that it's in view for you. And so you can see, I tried to get my canvas or my camera a little bit closer today so that hopefully you can see what happens with the cells and such. And I don't have any silicones in my paint. I just have the pouring medium, and generally the paint will react with each other and kind of do some cool stuff. I do want to start though by adding a rim of black around the edges just to make sure that I've got a nice clean amount of black going over the edges. And then I'm just going to run my fingers around and make sure that all of those edges are coated with the black, just in case my paint does not pour over the side. And this way I've got, my corners are covered, and once I flip my cups, I can always go back and add a little bit more black along if I need to. That's looking pretty good. Then I've got my little spatula here, and perhaps just to keep my hands a little bit cleaner, we'll try to use the spatula just to make sure those sides are coated with the black before we start. All right. Sometimes I will prep my canvas and paint the edges of it with like the black like I'm using today, but today I decided that I would just let the paint flow over and hope for the best. I'm just going to move this a little bit and make sure that we've got these sides coated. Feels like it's pretty good. And smooth that black paint out just a little bit, make sure that the corners and the edges look good. And I think we're ready to flip some cups of paint over and see what happens. So I'm going to start with my green, which is a combination of emerald green and light green and the metallic black. And I'm just going to flip that over at the top of my canvas. Since this is my center color, I'll start with that one first, and then I can lay my other colors out. This is mineral blue and ultramarine blue along with the black. And then this is dioxazine purple and brilliant purple, as well as the black. I think it's really pretty colors. I love watching it as it gets flipped over to see what it does. And then of course this is the Azo Orange and the Medium Yellow that we already poured. I'm just going to place that one there. And then this is Cadmium Red Deep and Cadmium Medium Cadmium Medium Hue, along with the black. So I did spray my cups with the WD silicone spray. I don't have a ton in there. It's just enough so that my paints release, because I like to see the paints release. You can see we've already got some stuff that's happening here a little bit with the yellows and the orange. I don't find that my reds do a lot of stuff, but hopefully you can see the purple over here. Probably not very well because it's on the other side of the cup, but most of the colors do some really neat things with once they're mixed together with each other. So I'm going to pull my center cups off, and then I'll go to each side of that. And my goal is to pull it down so that my paint is kind of a straight line, hopefully. And I'm kind of a little bit of a chicken, so I kind of started off and I had way too much paint down there. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this up here where I skipped over on the canvas. And then we'll let it kind of work its way back up there. And then I think what we'll do, since that pulled so weird, I'm just going to tip that a little bit and kind of get it going down that way so that we have a little bit better of a line instead of one big blob at the bottom. So that's looking a little bit better. All right, and then I'm going to pull the orange. And you'll find once you do the first one, it's a lot easier to do it after that. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of this orange down here at the bottom, just to kind of fill that spot in. And then next I'm going to pull the blue. Ooh, that one's pretty. And I've got, once again, I've got a little bit of extra here. So I'll just add a little bit of that down at the bottom and set these up at the top. And then we're going to pull this purple and see what we get. Love that purple. And I'm not too concerned about this bottom being covered, because if I've got my top going pretty well, then I can go ahead and pull that down and get the bottom of my canvases covered as well. So I'm just going to add a little bit of extra red there since I pulled that one so weird. So you can see that there's already some crazy cell action going, and the only silicone is just the little bit that was in the cup to help the paint release. So this is all what the paint is doing, reacting to itself. So I've not used any treadmill lubricant or coconut hair oil. This is just what the paints are doing on their own with that pouring medium. So I'm going to start with, I need to get it down this way, but I kind of feel like I need to send it over that edge a little bit and try to get this green up there a little bit more. And I feel like I've got a big hole here. So let's see if we can't wiggle this around a bit and get that paint flowing down to see if we can get the bottom of this covered. And if you kind of go side to side, and I don't want to go too far because I don't want to dump all that red off of that one side. So let's just start working back the other way and make sure that we've got this other end covered. Hopefully you can see this okay. And I just kind of let the weight of the paint work its way down the canvas. And that red really is kind of taken over a little bit. So let's see if I can get that to work over a little bit. My little yellow band doesn't look very big at all now, does it? So I'm trying to kind of keep stripes going, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm just going to tip over here to the right, and then I'm going to go back down. And that yellow is just not a very big band anymore. So I think what we'll do is try to run some of this red off of the end and see if we can stretch that yellow band back out a little bit. And then I'm going to end up with some crazy lines, but that's all right. We're just going to work with it and keep wiggling it and hope she straightens out. And if she doesn't, then it'll make it even more interesting on it. No one says it has to be straight. Okay, so now we're just going to run that off of the edge since we're down here on this end. And not really loving that my yellow and my red did what it did. I do want to try and get this purple to go off of the end over here on the right. So I guess while we're almost up, we might as well just go for it and get rid of that paint over there. And then I'm going to see if I can't get that to line back up a bit. I really would like that yellow to be a little bit whiter, but. All right, so I'm thinking this is really crazy. Let's see if we can't just dump some of this off maybe, because I do have a ton of paint on here. And then maybe we can get it to work its way out. That red just really is kind of overpowering. So I'm going to kind of try to let this run down to the one end and maybe see if I can get, I'm afraid I'm going to stretch this out so far that it's just not going to be very pretty anymore. But I do want to try to run that red off. There we go. All right, now we're going to bounce it back and see if we can't straighten things out a bit. It's already looking better. And I'm just going to try and kind of work that paint down. Got at least a little bit more yellow showing than what I did. Looks like my yellow and my orange kind of blended together to make green. That's not so pretty, is it? All right, so I have a lot of extra paint. I kind of feel like I really don't love that yellow part, and I kind of want to pour some more paint right there and see what happens. Because at this point, I kind of feel like I can do that and see what happens. So if you don't like it, then you just go back and you add some more. So let me wipe my hands off a little bit here. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is see if I can't add in a little bit more of the orange and the yellow and do another stripe over there and see if I can't get that to straighten out a bit. I feel like the yellow still took over even though I put tons and tons of orange in there. So I think what I want to do too is not put so much black in this one and just stick with the orange and the yellow. And I'm hoping that I can possibly pour right over the top of that and see what happens. We're gonna give it a go and see. It's definitely much more vibrant than what I had there. And I'm hoping I can push that, I'm hoping to push that red off of the edge a little bit too, so that I've got more of the orange and the yellow showing. Just gonna let that kind of meld out a little bit and maybe push that green the other way as well. Okay, and then I think we're gonna tip just a little bit and see if we can't get that red pushed off a bit more. And hopefully my hands aren't a big old mess by the time I get done here. So I think what I'll do is kind of push a little bit to the right, and then I think we'll go to the left and see if I can run some of that red off of there. That already looks a little better. And then I think I'm just going to go back and forth and try to get rid of some of that paint, because I obviously have a lot of paint on there. And then I think we're going to stop messing with it because I've stretched out all kinds of stuff now. But that definitely looks a little better. I think it improved it a bit anyway. I'll just run that down a little bit and see if I can't straighten these lines out a tiny bit. And get everything all straightened out again. And I think we're going to end up stretching everything else out and not doing what we want to achieve. So I think I'm just going to leave it be. So I definitely got some good reactions going with the cells. And the blue even came into the purple, which is okay. I think it still turned out pretty good. I definitely did not keep my lines like I was hoping, but that's okay. Not everything turns out exactly the way you hope they will. So it's still a pretty painting, and it still has some really pretty colors and has some cool cell action and some nice designs going on within the paint. So all in all, I think it was a pretty good success. We'll see how she dries and how she looks once she's varnished. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.